focus, discipline. This is the Zero Excuses podcast. Each and every week, we talk to high-performing, inspirational athletes, entrepreneurs, and leaders. We ask powerful questions to extract their tools, strategies, and life lessons for you to crush your excuses, to break out of your comfort zone, and accomplish your ambitious dreams and goals. Here's your host, Kenyon Zitska.
What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the podcast. Thank you for tuning in. I have a very, very special episode for you guys today. We have Aaron Dokos join us today for his fourth round on the podcast. And, you know, I always enjoy talking with Aaron. I've really enjoyed getting to know him over the past year or so, knowing him and interacting with him in various ways through Facebook and social media and whatnot. But if you guys don't know what happened to Aaron recently, he experienced a ruptured aorta within his heart, and essentially he almost died. And you know, and Aaron being Aaron, he's he's not letting this be a serious setback in his life, and he was gracious enough to come onto the podcast and share his story with us today, which I think you're going to find very, very interesting. Every time I talk to Aaron, he's learning new information. He is shifting his mindset constantly, and he is just thirsty for new information, new perspectives, and that's exactly what he shares with us today. And, you know, I'm just going to bypass the normal mumble jumble that I tend to do here at the beginning of the podcast, and we're just going to jump right in with the conversation with Aaron. So again, appreciate Aaron's time joining us here on the podcast, and hope you guys enjoy our conversation.
I cared, but it was like, let me write about this. Let me figure it out so I can write about it. And it's just like, man, it's such a stupid way to live.
Yeah.
And I just, I don't. For myself, I don't connect with it at all anymore. It means nothing to me. Social media, for me, it's like, man, if we're gonna talk, let's talk. Let's connect on a deeper level than like, hey, I saw a picture of your kid on social media. That was neat.
I mean, that's cool, but like, where's the I get what you mean, and I've been struggling with the same thing myself. Like, what am I doing on social media? It just I know what I do. I have to, there's a certain amount that I have to kind of promote on social media, but the actual interactions, I don't get much value out of. I get more value out of reaching out to someone and connecting with them on the phone or in person or the way you and I are connecting right now. I just get so much more out of connecting with someone. I mean, you don't get that on social media.
Nope.
So,
and then you know what? The other one though too that I really started to realize is that no matter what my opinion is, you're gonna put that out on social media, your opinion, and you're always gonna rub someone, no matter who it is, the wrong way, and they're gonna flip out, lose their mind, try to trash talk you, trash talk what you're talking about, interject their opinion. And it's like, look, man, I mean, I wasn't asking for your opinion. I really, truly don't care about your opinion if I'm being 100% honest. Mm-hmm. I'm giving you my thoughts on the thing. And I never invited you. I didn't say on my post, feel free to comment however you would like on this. I'm giving you my feelings. And if it was in person and I gave you my feelings, then, you'd do one of two things. And most likely, you wouldn't react the way that you do when there is no repercussions whatsoever on social media.
Yeah. That's the big key is the lack of repercussions. Yep. Is you can say whatever you want and no one's gonna the Facebook police aren't gonna come to knocking on your door to issue a citation. I mean, you can say whatever you want, and I think that's allowed our society to enhance this entitlement mentality, this whole vibe that we have going on. Everyone's better than everybody else, and unless you agree with me, you ain't shit. All those stupid fucking attitudes. But Yeah, I've actually already started recording because we kind of jumped into things and I wanted to capture what we're talking about because some good shit that we're talking about here. But so we're kind of coming at this a little bit midstream, a little bit different than how we usually start things off. But Aaron Dokos, I've always followed you for a long time, and like you've been hinting at here, you kind of left social media behind and doing your own thing, and you mentioned the incident, and I want to catch everyone else up on maybe if they didn't see on social media what happened. I know you had a little hiccup with your ticker there, so why don't you give us a 30,000 foot view of what happened there? And that was 2-3 months ago, right?
It was 4 months ago on Tuesday. 4 months ago on Tuesday. So everything was normal. I mean, if we were to tell this like a story that was going to be showing up on the main screen and birds were chirping, everybody was happy. I had just gone out and done my ministry work. Everything had been great. I came home and I was going to train. Had my buddy there with me, and he started his part of the workout. And for that day, I'm so bummed. Actually, I'm so bummed that I missed what that workout was, because what it was farmers walks with 135 pounds per hand for a half-mile walk. And I'm super bummed that I missed it because he started. I was like, why don't you start, bro? And he starts walking. And again, a lot of this is going to be like what people have told me has happened, because I remember pretty much nothing. Mm-hmm. But apparently I got lightheaded and I passed out on our gym floor in my garage. And then next thing you know, I went inside. My wife was cooking, and she thought I was just joking around because, I mean, as you know, and many of the people that listen to the podcast know, is I like to joke around. So she thought I was joking around, but I was like, babe, I just passed out, and I'm like grabbing at my throat. I was like, my throat, I got pressure. It's like really weird. And she's like, you probably just like gave yourself a concussion again, you idiot. and like none of this I remember, but I tore my aorta is what it is. So my heart is 100% fine, but it was my aorta that completely tore from the top of the arch all the way down and around. Man. And thank goodness it was inside, because if it would have happened on the outside, I would have died instantly.
Right.
But, the doctor had said that it was something I was born with. He said I was basically a ticking time bomb. Mm-hmm. And it could have happened when I was 3. It could have happened when I was 30. It could have never happened. So like people are like, oh, is it because you trained too hard? Is it because of this, because of that? There's no real reason to it. It just happened.
Yeah, right.
And so, so that happens. And the thing that's so funny about it, man, is so she takes me to the hospital, and apparently I was crying on the way there, apologizing to her for giving myself a concussion. Yeah. And I'm sitting in the waiting room, I guess. And she says that like they called me up and I filled out all my own paperwork, and they call me back to take my vitals and be like, what's going on? And they check my heart. They check my blood pressure, and they like look at the left side, and then they look at the right side, and then they look at the left side. And she said it was like 15 people showed up out of nowhere and like whooshed me back. And they're asking her, does your husband have heart problems? All this stuff. But they say that normally 10% of people only live with what happened to me. And not only that, they only live about a half hour. It was an hour and a half before I ever even made it into surgery.
Yeah.
And
so you're already defying the odds right there.
Yeah, I was like, odds mean nothing to me, bro. But the thing that's so funny, long story short, I woke up in the ICU, and there's this lady, like, I'm trying to like get up. I'm like trying to get up, and she's like, no, dude, like you need to lay down. You just had a major surgery. And she said that I looked at her, and I was like, girl, are you crazy? Like, you trying to punk me? And she said, she's like, it was the funniest thing that happened to me in like 6 years from someone in the ICU. But yeah, it was crazy, man. So that happened, and I've just been recovering. Had to take a step back from mass amounts of coaching, because the doc was saying that stress can cause, a lot of issues. And so I had to take a step back from coaching a lot of people. Certain people that I've worked with in the past stress me out. And I've come to realize the reason why is because, say with like you, for instance, I mean, you were such a great far away guy that I coached online coaching because you kept things really simple for me. You know, I didn't have to, every day it wasn't like a cry session where you're like, Aaron, I just don't know why I can't stop shoving cake in my face. But you kept it simple for me. I was like, hey man, what do we need to modify? What do we need to do? What do we need to tweak?
Right.
What are your goals? And you kept it really easy, but a lot of people wouldn't. And I would take those on as my problem. And according to the doctor, he's like, hey man, I was stressing you out. You need to make a shift. You need to do something different. So I still coach people, but it's only those that I really truly want to work with, and no one that is a like a crazy case, I guess you could say. You know, they're not showing up like, Aaron, I need to lose 400 pounds tomorrow, and I also need to bench press like 505 by the next day. It's not that type of thing anymore.
Right. So it's not like, I don't even know where to like dive into this, but I mean, it sounds like 1 minute you're like fine and, you know, things are going great for you, and then you wake up, hey, I just had major heart surgery. Like, how long did that like take to sink in? Like how long, like, was it, you know, an hour, 24 hours, several weeks, or is it still kind of, are you still kind of going through that right now?
It's a little bit of both, man. I mean, it's 4 months coming up this week, and I trained yesterday, for instance, and I'm playing with a 100-pound sandbag, and I was doing, you know, kettlebell walks with like carries with like a 62-pound bell. And so, I mean, strength wise, nothing's really changed, but like mentally, yeah, I mean, it's definitely sobering. It's like, whoa, wait, man. I mean, I almost died 4 months ago, but I'm definitely not living my life. Like here's a quick example. Like, I love my father-in-law, such a great guy. It means the world to me. But we went to Death Valley to go visit, and this was like 2 months after I had left the hospital, and we're in Death Valley, and the biggest crater in the world is there. Mm-hmm. It's like 3.2 miles around the whole crater. And I haven't done anything super physical yet, but I've done a lot of walking. And so my son and I was like, hey man, let's go walk around this thing. So we walked around the whole entire thing. We get back, and him and his wife are there, and they're like, I can't believe you did that. There was no way I would do that. And it dawned on me that I'm definitely not the same as everybody else when it comes to my mentality and my mental strength that I have.
Right.
And that I will never be defined by what happened to me, but rather I will be defined by who and what relationships I create with people. And is really kind of what I've come to the realization of.
Yeah, I think you and I are, you know, I don't want to like pump my own chest too much here, but like you and I are.
Pop your aorta, dude. Be careful.
What's that?
You might pop your aorta. Be careful.
But what I'm trying to say here is like 99% of the population out there says, hey, play it safe. Don't go too crazy. Don't, you know, hey, you know, stay in your fire lane. Don't go too hard. Don't, you know, take it easy. You know, hey, holidays are coming up. You should take a break. You should take it easy. You know, that whole mentality of, you know, playing it safe, you know, I think is cancerous to society. And you and I tend to have that mentality of like, no one's going to tell me what I can or cannot do. Like, I get to decide that for myself. And it doesn't matter. You know, I dealt with allergies, asthma, and other issues growing up, but like, I still became a rescue swimmer. I still, you know, excelled in the military. And, you know, a lot of people would, you know, growing up would probably tell me to play it safe, like those things. And you're kind of run into the same issue with, you know, what you went through, probably even more magnified than what I had to deal with. So,
you know what the biggest thing is that I've found with that when it comes to people in general, mm-hmm. is fear. they're so scared of things that they don't know about, and it becomes very easy to project that onto you. Anytime somebody says, Kenyon, like, why would you be a rescue swimmer? I could never do that. You immediately want to defend yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
But rather flip the script. What are you so scared of? Why wouldn't you want to jump into the water? Are you not a good swimmer? Instead of defending yourself, let's dig into the fear. What are you so scared of? I mean, I said to my father-in-law, well, why wouldn't you walk around that? He's in a wheelchair right now because he can't use his legs from diabetes and things like that. But I was like, Leon, like, wouldn't you give anything in the world right now to walk around that crater? What are you so scared of? And it's forced me to take a step back. And I used to be really afraid to tell people how I truly felt. I mean, you've known me for a while now, and I've always been the kind of guy that's like, if you said something that I knew was going to be contrary to what I felt or believed or knew deeply in my heart, I would say something, but it was more of a passive aggressive approach rather than just truly, cutting through all the BS right to the root. You don't like me, cool, man, but why do you have to like attack, say, like my religion? People will attack my religion or my belief in God or things like that. And I'm like, well, what's your problem? Like, what happened to you to where you don't believe in God? Why would you feel that it's appropriate for you to attack me and my opinions and my beliefs if I'm not, projecting them onto you? What are you so scared of?
Yeah, it's you're not taking an extremist approach and projecting that and saying if you don't believe the same thing I believe, you ain't shit. Like you say what you need to say, but you do it without projecting it in a manner that says that I'm less than you because I have differing beliefs.
Right.
And that's where I think a lot of people get tripped up is that anything that someone says that's contrary to what you believe, they take that as something that they're attacking you, and it comes back to what you mentioned is the fear. Like anything that's foreign, people tend to fear, and they don't take a step back and just look at it for what it is. And it's just an idea. It's an opinion, and they don't take the time to sit there and analyze it and look, like I said, look at it for what it is. And it's just an opinion. One person's opinion, and maybe you could take little scraps of information from that and improve your own opinion. And right. we completely miss opportunities to do that in life. And that's one thing that I've been striving to do a lot more of, is to just sit back and try and remember that, like, the thing isn't the problem. It's my opinion of the thing that's the problem.
Right. Well, it almost kind of feels like to me like we live now in a very defensive society. Doesn't matter who it is. Doesn't matter what country you're from. If someone doesn't have your same beliefs, they're an idiot. They're a moron. There's no one. I'm not telling you to be open-minded. I mean, if you have your core beliefs, on things, then definitely live by your core beliefs. And
yeah, absolutely.
But at the same time, too, for instance, for myself, and this might not be popular with everybody, I'm not a big fan of the LGBT, whatever it is. I don't believe in gay marriage. I don't believe in it. I believe that a man should be with a woman and a woman should be with a man. That's what I've always felt. But somehow if I say anything, especially now, it's like a powder keg that's going to explode. But that's but people want to attack me for saying that I'm not open-minded when I tell them, like, well, no, I'm sorry. Like, I believe that a man should be with a woman and a woman should be with a man. But then that makes me a jerk. That makes me an a-hole. That makes me like I'm a throwback from back in the day. And it's like, well, that's your opinion as well. But I'm not attacking your opinion either.
Right. And you're not attacking people that happen to believe opposite of that. And, it's, we can live harmoniously with differing beliefs. Like I happen to have a differing belief to that. Like I have a lot of friends that have alternative beliefs, and I believe in people who want to be the people they want to believe should not have any barriers against that. So
Right.
that's kind of that's my belief, and I'm about the individual being the individual they believe they should be, and that's personally my opinion. But
Right. Well, and if we reflected the rest of society right now, we should fight the rest of the podcast. Are you ready to go?
yeah, let's do it.
Let's take off.
This will be the first long distance physical fisticuffs on a podcast.
Just because I tore my aorta doesn't mean I'm a sissy, bro. You better watch out.
Oh, I know. Just because you tore your aorta makes you anything but a sissy. So, so I better watch out.
That's right.
Anyways, so I guess what's changed with your philosophy around fitness and nutrition? Has anything changed?
I mean, it's funny because when I was in the hospital, we had a good friend of ours. She's my ride or die. She's my buddy, really good friend of mine. I've known for years. She took it on for herself to bring it to our community of people that we work around with. To provide meals for us, right? Post-surgery for the next month. And just to provide a dinner, just to kind of help take the brunt or the load off of my wife and my kids and everybody that was here. And the doctor was telling, when something like this happens, not the doctor, but the nurse was telling her, when something like this happens, you definitely want to avoid XYZ foods. But I mean, in his case, he should be fine. You should avoid, salt, caffeine, some alcohol, blah. But in his case, he should be fine. It helped me to understand nutrition doesn't really mean anything. Rather, it is your commitment to the process of whatever it is that you want to accomplish. Meaning, Jerry Seinfeld, for instance, had a young comedian come talk to him one time, and I got this from another podcast with Ben Bergeron, and I loved the application. The comedian comes and says, Jerry, what do I need to do so I can be a successful comedian? And Jerry looked at him and said, buy a calendar. And this kid's like, buy a calendar? Like, what the hell? I thought you were going to give me some good one-liners or something like that. And he says, buy a calendar. And every single day that you that you write a joke, put an X on that day. And your goal is to create a streak of days that you have X's on a calendar. So when it comes to nutrition, whatever it is that I want to accomplish, Kenyon wants to accomplish, my wife, your beautiful wife, your daughter when she gets older, whatever it is that you want to accomplish, is it performance-based? Is it aesthetics? Is it just overall health? Get a calendar and put an X on the day that says that you stuck to whatever it is that you wanted to do nutritionally for what you want to accomplish. Focus on the process, not on the outcome, is what I've really, and I now I apply that even to exercise. Why do you have to go into a gym for 45 minutes and smash yourself when you can't even get outside and walk for 30 minutes? Movement is movement. And we all, as human beings, owe it to ourselves to move every single day. Because something in life is fighting against you to take that away no matter what you do. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And, it makes too much sense almost, because we've engineered ourselves into cubicles and comfort zones that constrict us into not moving, that constrict us into living a sedentary lifestyle. And, that was one of the things that I've found in my previous jobs that just completely, it just seemed completely backwards to what we were meant to do as human beings. You go back even 100 years, we were so much more physical, and even just taking, we have to forge habits where we move, where we don't sit around. I've been lucky enough to be in a job where I can be in complete control of not complete control of my schedule, but have enough control over my schedule where I can move for 10 minutes an hour. I have a standing desk. I would love to get a treadmill underneath my desk, but at least I'm standing. I'm not sitting down all day. And for everyone listening out there, if you're in one of those constricted boxes that society has created for us, I encourage you to figure out a way to get out of it. I mean, you can do push-ups or squats or burpees in your cubicle. I mean,
well, and it's funny that you said that society is created for us, but it's what society has created as the new norm.
Yes. Yeah.
It's normal. They're trying to tell you, society, Facebook, the media tells you, oh, it's normal, Kenyon, just go sit in your cubicle. That's normal. It's normal to sit for 8 hours out of the day. That's normal. And the thing that's so sad about that, kind of jumping back onto what you were talking about, when it comes to where we're at now in 2019 coming up, we are the fattest we've ever been. But we have more technological advances than we've ever had. How is it, like, take a carpenter, for instance. A carpenter in the 1700s, 1600s, 1500s, what they had to drill their own holes by hand. They had to fasten a mortise and tenon. They had to use a hand saw. And now look at where we're at. Everything is mass produced by robots. We don't work anymore. We can put it together and it comes in a box from IKEA that has instructions that still don't make sense to me that I have to put together. But we don't work anymore. We allow these new advances, this technological advances, to take us to this new high to be lazier. And it's the same in the fitness industry. Sit back and look at it. If you sit back and you look at the fitness industry as filled with mass amounts of lazy people. Oh, your heart rate, check your heart rate. Well, I got my heart rate monitor. It tells me. Take your fingers and stick them on your throat. Why don't you stop and feel what your body is telling you rather than what your stupid heart rate monitor is telling you? Do you feel like you're going to pass out? Or did your heart rate monitor tell you that you were past your aerobic threshold? No, my brain told me I was because I was about to pass out. Oh, congratulations. Your heart rate monitor should have told you that. But yeah, I mean, this is a deep, dark rabbit hole that I've really started to dig into because I literally had 10 weeks of laying down that I had to do and I couldn't do much.
Yeah.
A lot of brain activity was happening though.
Yeah, I mean, you go from being super active and your fitness, I hate the term, but I'm going to use it here, guru. But you go from being super active one day to being pretty sedentary. How did you handle that? I mean, obviously, I know you probably filled your mind with some good shit, but how did you get through that?
I read. I did a lot of praying, but I did a lot of interaction with people that came to my home. And I realized how many times I took for granted relationships with people that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really, when these people came by, or whoever it was, these friends, this family, whoever it was that came by, I took the time to really find out how they were doing. They were there for me, but I was there it was like a guest in my home of, let's talk. Tell me about your life. How have things been? What can I do to help you? And they're like, what do you mean? What can you do? I mean, I'm here to help you out. And I was like, no. You're helping me out right now by having this genuine conversation. Let's talk. And I would definitely say that my interaction with people has become a lot more meaningful to me.
Yeah.
How I feel it.
We kind of started off with this whole social media jettison that you did. And what it comes down to, it sounds like, is that and at least in my experience on social media, it sounds like it's usually a transactional interaction. Like, I'll do this for you. What are you going to do for me? Type transaction. And there is a little bit of that, when you are face to face, but there's not that genuine connection. And I've started to question how much time I spend on social media personally myself, because it's like I don't get anything out of it other than, okay, am I improving my business? Yes or no? Like, that's all I really get out of it. But as soon as I connect with someone face to face, or we have an actual conversation, I just get so much more out of it. Like, and I know the other person gets a lot more out of it too, because there's that just connection. I don't know what it is. Maybe you figured that out a little bit, but social media is a tool, but it's not meant to replace the actual socialization aspect that we're meant to have as human beings.
Well, and it's funny because you say that, because I was taught, a while ago by a supposed mentor of mine. Supposed, I use that word very loosely. Or I should say mentor, I use loosely. That you need to post and you need to be vulnerable on social media. Be vulnerable. So what did people start doing? I mean, you look around on social media now and people are crying left and right. I mean, I haven't been on there in a month, but I mean, people were crying left and right to get likes, to get comments. And to me, it just seemed like it was another thing that, Fox, like the movies, I don't know. I shouldn't have even used the word Fox, but, I mean, it just seemed like the movie, someone was crying on command. Versus being vulnerable doesn't always mean you have to cry. Being vulnerable doesn't mean you have to tell people that you, like for myself, like I used to be addicted to pornography. I mean, you don't have to be vulnerable that way, but being vulnerable means that you're open to have a real conversation with somebody.
Mm.
And I just don't see that from a video where I hold my phone up in the selfie position at me talking about whatever is on my mind. You miss the point of being able to have someone, like when we have a guest in our home, if that guest is just relaxing, having downtime at the end of the day or in the morning or whatever it is, my wife and my family and I, we try to make it as relaxed as possible. Like, hey, would you like a cup of coffee? Let's just sit down and chit chat. I mean, I'll change my morning routine around so that I can spend genuine time with this human being that's in my home that is perceiving things differently than I am. They're having a different interaction with my environment that I've created in my home than I have every single day. And I get an opportunity to have a conversation with that person.
Oh yeah. I mean, gosh,
Is this the first time you've been at a loss for words, Kenyon?
Yeah, I think so. Like I enjoy social media for being able to connect with people that I otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to stay connected with.
Right.
But I think it's created a box where we don't have to have the tough conversations, face to face. We can hide behind our phones. We can hide behind the keyboard. And, we mentioned it before, like you get these like keyboard warriors, and in the military, we call them, or in the Navy, we call them desk plate leaders instead of deck plate leaders. You feel so much more, there's less repercussions for just throwing out a bunch of bullshit.
Right.
And you miss the actual, you miss those facial expressions, the tonality of one's voice. And I don't know where I'm going with this, but this whole social media aspect, it can be a good tool, but it's not the end all be all. And I think that the way our society is headed, I think that we're going to miss these one-on-one human face-to-face interactions. And right. You bring out a good point in that, just having guests in your home, having people over for dinner, having coffee with someone, going out and meeting someone for even just a quick 10-minute meeting. I met with a good friend that I haven't, we live here in Charleston, but we haven't connected for whatever reason in over a year. And just taking 10 minutes to reconnect, it was so much more powerful than, even sending text messages or Facebook messages. There's a whole opportunity that people miss out on. And, we need to take the time to connect one-on-one, and Facebook is good, like I mentioned, for, staying connected with people, but like you have to get out there and connect one-on-one with people.
Right. Well, and then I would always ask too, these meetings that you get to have with people now in person, what is your real agenda? Are you there just as a transaction? Shake hands, exchange money. Here's my information. Where's your information? Are you there to really talk to another human being?
Yeah.
I get money. Money's great. I have to have money to pay my bills. Cool. So do you. But you know what? There is way more to life than how much money you make. And for 3 months, I didn't work for 3 solid months. Somehow, the love from everybody else that was on social media, my brother, friends, we had donations in over $12,000 that took care of my bills, took the pressure off my family for 3 months. Now, I'm not going to be the lazy guy that doesn't get back to work. I've never been that guy because I love what I do. I love work. I do. But when I die, I do not want to leave a legacy that says Aaron was a great worker. I want it to say Aaron had genuine relationships with people. Aaron loved his family immensely, because that to me means more than Aaron was a great coach. Aaron was a great fitness professional. And it made me realize, like I said, I don't want to die in being known as a fitness professional. I don't. I want to be known as, like I mentioned before, man, that guy was deep. When you were there, you felt like you were a part of his family, and he never met me a day in my life. That's what I want to be known as a genuine human being. That's what I want to be known as.
Yeah, and absolutely. And, I definitely feel that connection with you. I definitely feel like we've never met in person, but, every interaction that I've had with you and Mandy, and I feel like a small extension of your family, and you're definitely accomplishing that. So keep up whatever you're doing, man.
Keep on doing what you're doing, my friend.
So
keep on keeping on.
So how has your training regimen changed? I mean, obviously you can't just go back into what you were doing the day before the incident. How have you been modifying and I guess changing up your physical training routine?
Well, one big thing that I had to say goodbye to was my ego. I had a bigger ego than I realized. Doc tells you can only lift 15 pounds. I was like, what does this doctor know? You've never seen me recover from a surgery, you big idiot. Right? Like my knee surgery, doctor told me I would never squat below parallel again. And I send him pictures of me like with my butt touching my calves. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, bro. Shoulder surgery, same thing. This definitely was different. My sternum never hurt. They cut me complete. I have a zipper, from the top of my clavicle down past my diaphragm, and they completely cut me open and ripped me open, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this recovery, I might have felt ready on the outside, but the inside, I'm definitely still recovering. There was a trauma, number one. Number two, I had part of my organs replaced with pig.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that my body had to recover from. And so, I've really moved back to natural movement. I no longer focus just on how heavy of a weight I can lift. I focus on the quality of movement I can do with the weight that I have provided. So I finally have gotten back to pressing, say, a kettlebell overhead, and I can press a 62-pound kettlebell with zero movement and clean it, rack it, press it strictly without having to move anything else, and set it back like nothing, like, back where it started with solid movement. But at the same time too, I'm doing that on a single leg. I'm focusing a lot more on balance, focusing a lot more on the quality of my movement, crawling. I'm not just hopping on a rower and how fast can I pull 2,000 meters? Who really cares? How fast can you run a mile? I don't care. Can you make it a mile? Good for you. It's just that it's more of a holistic approach, I guess you could say, rather than following like a certain periodization or a certain program.
So you're simply just training for life. Am I hearing that right?
Yeah. Can I go run up that side of that mountain? Question mark, right? Here would be something. Put a power lifter, a gymnast, a CrossFitter, a bodybuilder. Take anything, the whole spectrum of people you can think of in fitness. Put them at the base of a mountain and have a volcano erupt. Who would get away? Who would stay alive? Who would not be consumed by the lava? That's my thought now when it comes to training. Can I do everything the human body is supposed to be able to do? Can I display strength? Can I display flexibility? Can I display dexterity? Can I display agility? Can I display power? Can I swim? Can I climb? That's the person that's going to stay alive when a volcano erupts. Not just a bodybuilder, not just a power lifter, not just a CrossFitter. It's the person that can move the way the human body was intended to move that would have a better chance at staying alive.
Yeah, and it's getting back to basics. That you can apply the same thing to nutrition. Like cavemen didn't know what keto was. Cavemen didn't know what paleo or whatever fad there is right now. Just getting back to the basics and eating real stuff and doing real movements.
Well, that, and then stress. We're always working on de-stressing our life, right? Canyon, you're too stressed. You take on too much at work. Stress is necessary in our life for us to adapt.
Yeah.
But it's the right types of stress. Going outside when it's freezing cold, like right now it's 16 degrees, and before you called me, I was outside in a pair of shorts with no shirt on, hanging out outside barefoot so that I could just take it's a free ice bath outside. In the middle of summer, back where you live, in South Carolina or North Carolina?
South, yeah.
South. It gets muggy and hot as hell.
Yeah.
Take advantage of that free sauna that is out there. Don't, just get down into like the least amount of clothing. Don't not work out outside. Don't work out inside of a air-conditioned gym. Get outside. Our bodies are meant to adapt, and we no longer do that. We don't fast anymore because we're told that we have to have 6 meals a day to be, this animal that was meant to be able to have times, and we have things inside of our body that when we fast, cancer cells are helped to be produced to help kill cancers and deal with these things that we have in our environment, but we don't ever tap into them anymore because we want to have this quote unquote perfect ideal life, this Goldilocks life of 6 meals a day. I do bodybuilding for my training. I never go outside when it's too hot, and I always stay inside when it's too cold. We don't stress ourselves anymore. The human potential, the human body is filled with so much potential that we just don't tap into anymore.
Yeah, we've numbed ourselves to that realization. How many cavemen had a ready supply of eggs, bacon, and fruit waiting for them the moment they woke up? You had to go out there and perform in a fasted state.
And some days you didn't eat.
Yeah, exactly.
You worked your butt off and you never got any food. You didn't catch anything. Well, what did you do then? You went back and you did work in the camp. You went back and you did something. You didn't complain about it on social media. Oh, didn't eat today. Grr.
Man, the one thing that gets me is like the people who like say that everyone should be entitled to the basic staples like food, water, shelter, all that stuff should be free. No, you have to work for that shit. Like
that, and if anything, nobody is entitled to anything.
Nope. Oh man. Well, this conversation has gone totally. In some respects, it's gone totally as expected. Man, we went down some rabbit holes here.
You know it every time.
So
I like to do this, but as much as I can to blow your mind as the guy that hosts this.
You always blow my mind. That's why you're the one and only person who's been on here. I think it's like 5 times now.
What?
Yeah. So maybe we should just have you on as a regular. Like maybe we should do like a monthly or even weekly Aaron Dokos special or something.
Then let's give it at least a month, so then that way I can accumulate more information to blow people's mind with.
Yeah. Well, you probably have enough already. So.
You know what's funny? This is the first podcast I've done since everything happened. I had a lot of people reach out immediately. You know, like everybody.
They want to get the good scoop.
Oh man, I want to get on. Like, let while it's still hot on social media, everyone wants to hear what's going on with Aaron. There was just definitely not a lot of follow through on other people's ends. It was hilarious, but like you were the genuine article, man. You're like, hey man, like if you're still open to it, like I'd love to do it.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I just love talking with you, and like you said, you come across as like someone who gives a shit about putting out real raw information, and like I don't want to be like, I don't like my podcast to be super polished because I don't want to baffle people with a bunch of bullshit. I want them to get real raw information and take the stuff that's going to be applicable to their lives, apply it. And, if there's some stuff that you guys are listening to right now that that's not applicable, just don't use it. I mean, and don't go on social media and blast Aaron about it because he's not going to see it anyways. Number one, and number two, it's like you're wasting your time. Like if it doesn't work for you, great. Like it doesn't work for everyone.
I'd almost tell everybody, if you want to contact me now to yell about this, here's my phone number and we can have a real conversation.
Yeah, I'm sure there'd be some folks that would love to take you up on that. So
it's funny. I've had a handful that when I really put it out there, I think somebody had like a handful of people had a good feeling that I really was not getting back on. And that I got mass amounts of Facebook messages that was like, here's my phone number if you ever want to call me. And I looked at a handful of them. I was like, I don't think I've ever talked to you ever. Like, why would I just randomly like, hey bro, what's up? Like,
hey man, like been a long time. Like, oh wait, we never talked.
It's been a long time since you commented on one of my posts that I never cared about, but what's going on?
Yeah. God, yeah. Like I said in the beginning, I question. I often question like how much time I spend on social media. Even though I consider myself quite disciplined in how much time I do spend. It's like, right. Am I even getting any value back from this? Like the people I connect with one-on-one, face-to-face in my mastermind and in other masterminds I'm part of, I just get so much more value out of it. And great. Someone comments like, hey, this helped me today on my morning thoughts post. Like that's cool every now and again, but like, am I really making an impact by doing that? I think the answer is no, especially like the way that, maybe a couple years ago might be a little different, but like nowadays you make such a minuscule impact. You just have to get out there and connect one-on-one with people.
Yep. Well, I had a thought in my head and I don't know if I can remember it, but it just kind of boiled down to like, oh, that's what I was going to say. If you talk to somebody in the morning, right, and somebody says, hey, Kenyon, how you doing this morning? Most people just respond with what? Good. 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 right?
Right. Yeah.
If you're having a really horrible morning, how many people are like, dude, it's horrible? None. Like, you probably would never hear that. And if somebody did respond to you with horrible, your average person's like, oh, well, I hope it gets better.
Yeah.
And then they walk away, right? It's the same thing when it comes to people when they say, like, on my posts, when someone's like, man, I really needed to hear this today. Why? Why did you need to hear this honesty? Or why did you need to hear that? Like, give me a little more. Talk to me. Give me some substance, man. Shoot me a Facebook message, whatever it was. And when I asked people to do that, you never would get a response from them because now it became real.
Yeah, people don't like facing reality. People do not, and I think that's what it comes down to, if you ask me, is like people don't stay rooted in reality. They like to numb themselves with feel-good posts on Facebook. They like to make themselves feel good by going on social media and I guess seeing the troubles that other people are having, but they don't sit there and maybe this comes back to the fear that you mentioned earlier. They don't like to sit there and soak in their own reality and say, you know what, here's really where I'm at. And this is why I'm at where I'm at. Like if I'm not at the weight that I desire, like it's because I'm eating too much pizza and drinking too much beer. Like, I mean, people don't stay rooted in reality, and social media is far from reality.
Well, and what's a common retort that you'll hear people say? That's great for you, but it would never work for me. That's great for you, but I could never do that. Why? Why couldn't you do that? Oh, I mean, I have a family to support. So do I. I have, X, Y, Z. And again, it's excuses on top of their fear.
Right.
Steve Maxwell, an amazing coach, love the guy. He owned a gym in Philadelphia. He owned 2 gyms. He had a wife and kids at home, and he was miserable. He had what everybody thought that you would want to accomplish. He had 2 businesses. He was making more money and knew what to do with. Him and his wife, some things worked out to where they ended up getting a divorce, and he's now a nomad. He literally lives with less than 13 kilograms on his back wherever he can go. And he travels around the whole entire world and he teaches seminars when it comes to fitness. And you'd have somebody that wants to do that, but they would come up with that excuse. Steve, that sounds great, but I could never do that. I have a family. Not telling anybody to go out and go run and get a divorce so that you can travel around the world. But we limit ourselves so easily because of our fear.
And we never acknowledge what we actually want.
Nope. We acknowledge what society wants for us.
Yeah. And I've talked about this before on the podcast. Like that's what I ran into like 5 years ago. And I'm still, fighting that uphill battle a little bit, even as we speak here. But like, society would tell us we have to go to college, get a college degree, amass this debt, buy a house, amass the debt that comes with having a mortgage, like checking all these boxes. And we never like take the time, and no one ever teaches us the way to cut through the bullshit and figure out what we want for ourselves.
Did you ever read the book Natural Born Heroes by Chris McDougall?
I've heard of it, but no, I haven't.
Highly recommend it. There's a part in there where he talks about for years, especially in the fitness industry, we were told you have to have all 3 macronutrients all of the time, right? Fat, protein, carbs, have to have them all. You can never fast. You shouldn't do this. When you were a runner, you needed to carb up before you went and ran, and that means pastas and cookies and all these other things, right? You were told what you had to do. I think it was the 70s or 80s, whenever Gatorade became popular, people were told, drink a Gatorade or else you're going to become dehydrated, right? If you don't drink a Gatorade, you're going to get dehydrated. The thing that's funny is, and he's talking about it in this book, and it blew my mind. 100, 200 years ago, when men were out running, there was this competition less than 100 years ago where you would run as many miles as you could in 6 days. And the best record was 571 miles that this guy ran in 6 days. Now, when he ran, he didn't have an aid station every mile on his run to have water given to him, to have his food given to him, all those things. He would go fasted. Sometimes he said he would run a full 24 hours without drinking water. Gatorade, he come to realize, he did a study, more people have died from overhydration than people had died from dehydration when it came to marathons and running. There was not, in fact, the more research he did, there was not one recorded incidence of somebody dying from dehydration during a marathon, ultramarathon, Ironman, anything. But there was multiple incidences of people dying from overhydration. Really weird, right?
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show you that studies can. I mean, I know you cited a study here, but like scientific, quote unquote, scientific studies can be manipulated to show a particular or paint a particular picture.
But who does it benefit?
Yeah.
Does Gatorade still an extremely popular drink? Is Gatorade not a multi-billion-dollar business? It all comes back to paying big business. The American Heart Association says you shouldn't do a keto diet because it's bad for your heart. And they have all these studies by lawyers and blah, blah, blah. Who's paying the American Heart Association to say that? Post. People that, General Mills, these guys that want you to eat Honey Nut Cheerios and Golden Grams and Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah, breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
Yeah, they're paying these guys to say these things that are accredited, so then that way big business still keeps making its money.
And I know it's starting to sound like we're talking about conspiracy theories and stuff here, but what it boils down to is just like you need to get back to the basics and really sit down and listen to your body and listen to how you feel, and
then use that giant thing on top of your shoulders called your brain. For hundreds of thousands of years before all these guys came around, we were able to make educated choices as human beings. Hey, is that leaf poisonous? I probably shouldn't eat it. You didn't have somebody like over there like, hey, hold on. That's the Leafus genus, and that comes from the poisonous end. You can try a little bit of it, but I probably wouldn't eat the whole thing. I mean, we made educated choices on our own. We're an intelligent being. That's what separates us from animals.
Absolutely, and somehow we've lost that edge with. I think it's just too much information. I think we want to get the perfect the perfect and the quickest result, and we sacrifice just the basics to get there.
Well, and what does Google say?
Yeah, just sometimes I want to punch my computer in the face because we just rely on it too much, and we take everything that's available to us as gospel. And if we just rely on our own intuition and tune into that, I think we'd be able to make so much more progress on our own. And people want to rely on experts way too much than also relying on their own intuition to make these decisions and to move themselves forward. We get this is going to sound cliche, but we get into the analysis paralysis and just keep shit simple.
Well, and it's kind of like what you just said is your heart, for instance, going back to fitness, your heart rate monitor says you're at 180 beats per minute. But what is your body telling you personally? can you still hold a normal conversation when you're running? But that was your aerobic threshold, was at 180, and that's what this number that somebody created somewhere says that you should do. Well, are you going to be worried about what your heart rate monitor says when the volcano erupts and you have to get away with your life? Are you going to stop midway through? Whoa, heart rate monitor just told me I was at 180 beats. I got to stop. It's going to give me 5 minutes to rest while this lava comes at my face.
And don't get me wrong. Some of these things, they're good guidance. But they're not gospel.
Tools. Yeah, they're good tools.
Yeah, but don't rely on them exclusively.
No, I never would.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wearing a Garmin watch right now, but like, I never use the heart rate feature on it. And if I ever have to get another watch, I don't think I'll get one. But like, it's useful to tell me, like, hey, dude, get up and move your ass. Like they're great tools. Like, hey, it buzzes at me every hour.
Yeah,
tell me to move.
We almost need to get one that buzzes and says, "Hey, you see that person over there? Go have a conversation with them."
Yeah.
Not get up and walk. It needs to be like, "Hey, go have a conversation with another human."
Gotta love it. Well, man, I would love to sit here and conversate for several more hours with you, but I'm sure your kids and your wife are anxious to get some of that too. And
that conversation that we were talking about.
Yeah, that conversation. So, but hey, Matt, do you have any? I know you're not on social media anymore. Like, if there's someone who is like hardcore committed to coaching or wanting to get a solid nutrition plan together, is there still a way for folks to get in touch with you and maybe see about working with you one-on-one?
Sure. Easiest way is to email me, honestly, right now. Dokos, so ADOKOS @gmail. And then for those that are committed to go that way, I can give you my phone number from that point. But or if you live in Utah, Salt Lake City, I mean, just look me up, man. But I mean, outside of that, I haven't been on social media in a month, and it's freaking amazing. So I don't think I'm getting back on anytime soon.
Yeah, man. I do, like, today I did a social media fast, and it was amazing. And I think I'm going to do that every Sunday. I know some influencers are probably flipping their shit on that right now, but God, it was so great not to, like, I didn't even pick up my phone probably more than 2 or 3 times today. And I was just,
you probably got so much more stuff done.
Yeah, actual stuff done. Like, yeah, it was amazing.
It's really weird, man.
Yeah. Like, we feel like we're doing so much. Like, I gotta get on my phone. I'm like, I don't know if you watched South Park, but like they had a episode recently. I think they're only on Hulu. Like, I don't even watch cable anymore, but
right.
But they did a whole spoof on this whole social media thing and being on phones, and like, I'm doing so much stuff, man. Leave me alone. I'm doing stuff.
Getting so much stuff done.
Yeah. Don't interrupt me. I'm doing my stuff.
Oh, man. One, it's crazy. Like I said, I mean, just the amount of, like, I've always hated the term, like, 0 F's given, right? I've always hated that. Always thought it was just stupid. But I mean, like, I really could care less what's happening on on any platform that way. I mean, I just, if you and I are friends, like you and I are friends, for instance, it's like, if you really need to get a hold of me, you have my phone number. Shoot me a call. Like, don't tag me on Facebook. Aaron Dokos, OMG, hit my PR. Like, cool, bro. Good for you. Why don't you call me and tell me?
Yeah. Have a quick, like, you can get so much more accomplished by actually having a conversation.
Then you don't scroll to the next person below and you get fired up about somebody saying something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so much quick. Like, how much more did we get accomplished in this 1 hour than spending an hour on social media, like slowly typing on our phones or a quick response? Like,
might as well send like a carrier pigeon, something like that.
Anyways, Aaron, well, we better wrap things up here. And, man, it's been epic. And I need to make an excuse to get out to Salt Lake City one of these days. And I've only been out there once, and that was when I drove across country when I transferred from Hawaii over to Virginia. But I need to get back out there, and I enjoyed my trip out there. So
come play, man. I'll show you all that Utah has to provide.
Awesome, man. Yeah, one thing I do miss are the pictures of you out in the mountains.
Oh,
it's actually, it looks gorgeous out there, and I'm sure my wife and daughter would love to take a peek at what's going on out there.
Oh, dude, it's wonderful. I mean, I can't complain about it. I'm sure it's maybe 62 degrees out there right now.
Oh, out here in Charleston, yeah, but yeah. But we're from the Northeast. We can handle some snow, some cold.
That's true.
So
I was gonna say, like, I had somebody flipping out on me today. They're like, "You take cold showers and it's winter outside." Like, yeah, man, it's even more invigorating.
Yeah, that is my one complaint about South Carolina is, like, in the middle of the summer when I have a cold shower, it's still like piss warm. So. I don't get to have a cold shower in the middle of the summer here.
Oh, see, I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah. Anyways, man. Well, it's been awesome, man. If there's anything I can do for you, don't hesitate to reach out. But man, this has been an awesome conversation, and I'll definitely consider bringing you back on. We need to do this as a regular thing, man. Maybe we'll think of a witty name to create a monthly or weekly spot for you on the podcast.
Well,
maybe this will be your way to keep your foot in the door a little bit with social media.
I'm on Kenyon's podcast once.
Yeah, you'll be the nutritional fitness / meaning of life coach on Zero Xcuses podcast here.
There you go. We put that all together and we just call me a life coach. Oh wait, there's a lot of those already.
Yeah.
Sounds great, brother. Well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. To all the listeners, thanks for listening to our jargon.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks again, and we'll talk with you soon.
Sounds great, Kenyon. Appreciate it, bro. Have a good one.
Thank you for tuning in to the Zero Excuses podcast. Join the conversation at canyonzitska.com in our Facebook group. And don't forget to rate and subscribe to our show. We'll talk to you next week. And always remember, results, not excuses.